to trigger you into something, to create something to where it spurs you to move to in some other direction. That's a reason. And that could be months even, right? And a season, well, that could be years. A season doesn't mean like the season we think like winter, spring, summer, or fall. It's just a few months. A season could be years, but a short amount of years, not a lifetime, your whole life, right? And so I have two very, very close friends that I would call my best friends, two of them. One I've known for 27 years, and the other one I've known for 2.5 years. And you can't compare the two friendships. One is 27 years, one is 2.5 years. Like the time doesn't matter. I'm close with both of them. Do I have more history with the one I've known for 27 years? Yeah, I do. But is it a better or worse relationship? I can't look at it like that. They've both come into my life for a lifetime. I just happen to meet them at different times. So that's one thing that helped when I saw that quote many years ago, was because it put into perspective my friendship from this other person when I was 10 on, because I realized that we taught and learned from each other what we needed to teach each other and learn from each other. We both came into each other's life to teach each other things and to learn from each other through childhood, through adolescence and teenage years, through our early 20s, and through getting married and having our first children together. We learned and grew together, but we also learned things that taught us that we were diverging on paths that weren't really in sync anymore, that weren't really uplifting and helping us both learn and grow and move forward. And so once I got over the hurt, as I hope she did too, then I think we were able to be okay with the fact that our friendship had diminished and fallen apart and was no longer, because we could put it in that perspective and say, yeah, it wasn't for a lifetime, and that's okay. It was good because we had amazing years together. We had amazing growth together and a lot of love and a lot of fun and a lot of, crazy antics of teenagehood and stuff like that, but it wasn't meant to be the adult relationships that I have now.
That's good. That's true. Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So what happened with you there, girl?
Well, this particular friend happened in my older part of my life when I was in my 30s and stuff like that. Well, I'm a military wife, and as most military wives know, that the military is a small community, pretty much, especially if you live on base and you get to know your husband's wife. I mean,
right.
You get to know your husband's friend wife. If they work together, though, usually you get to know the wife and stuff like that. Either you like the wife or you don't. Well, this one particular wife, we had became friends. Now, were we thick as thieves? No, we weren't. But we were okay. I figured we were cool and stuff like that, and then we eventually both got out the military. Anyway, so my husband and I, we lived in a couple of different places, and each time there's certain friends that I keep in contact with, and this was one of them. And before making a decision to go to Virginia. Now, Virginia was one of the places that we wanted to live, but it was more of on a northern side of Virginia than it was the southern side of Virginia. Well, this particular friend had moved to the southern side of Virginia and had purchased a home in the southern South Virginia. And in talking to them, I just kind of figured to look, I'm tired of moving places and having to get to know people all over again. That's the price you pay as a military wife. Move different places, you have to get to know people all over again, and then as soon as you get to know them, either they're stationed someplace else or something. So it's kind of hard to really hook up with friends.
Sure.
So, yeah, so that's what happened in that scenario. So I figured, okay, she lives in Southern Virginia. I'm here in South Jersey, and why don't we go to Southern Virginia? Now, convincing my husband to go from south to north, because we're not really Southern people, it was not hard, but it was a challenge. And I said, look, I want to go someplace where I know somebody. I want to go someplace where I automatically know people, where I don't have to start all over again to get to meet people again. This time, move someplace that we know people. Plus, we plan on staying for a while. This is going to be our home. So I moved out here. During the course of moving out here, selling one house, living in an apartment and stuff, one holiday season, my daughters and I came back to the apartment complex that we live in, and they had a fire in the apartment. Pretty bad fire, and it had burned down. One side of it burned down. The other one, they wasn't letting no one in, which happened to be where we were staying at. Me and my daughters, my husband was staying in South Jersey to sell our home. Now, for one thing, okay, so we're out here. She didn't call to say, because the fire was on the news and everything. Okay, granted, some people don't listen to the news, okay? So, but when I told her about it, she kind of said, yeah, we did hear something about that. And here we are staying from different, hotels to hotels, because it was a while before we could go back in our apartment, maybe like a month or something like that.
Wow.
Not one time did this person that I chose to come to be with, not one time did she offer us over for dinner. I know it's just knowing that my husband was selling the house. He was still in South Jersey. Not one time she said, hey, look, you and the girls coming over for dinner. That's the least I could do, is offer you dinner. Not one time when we stayed in different hotels, not one time did she offer us a room in her house, which she had. She had room because, people always, not one time did she do that. And not one time did she, even say, hey, come on over and get something to eat. Nothing. And,
wow.
And it had me questioning, because when we all lived in California, we all partied together. We all had a good time. We had a really nice time. And I saw her as a different person. But when I got here to Virginia to move to be close to her, mind you, she wasn't my closest friend, but she was what I consider a good friend. And so I said, I think this will be fun. I saw a different person. I didn't see the same person. Of course, I had changed. I wasn't the same party girl as I used to be. And I think she expected to see that same party girl, someone that she could talk about to other people as a party.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't that type of person anymore, I don't know, maybe she was disappointed. But for whatever reasons it wasn't the same person that I knew. And that's why I say, what you say is good for a season. And I did write this person a letter too. I wrote a letter to her expressing how I felt. And when I did see her and told her I wrote a letter, she said she never got it. She said she never got a letter. So that,
I'm sorry. Did you believe that?
I didn't believe it. And then at one point, when I was at her house, something happened with one of her neighbors. One of her neighbors got sick or something. And she went over to help. She said, yeah, because, I wanted to stay there and help. Well, I didn't want to just leave her. I care about people. And I'm looking, and the first thing in my mind is like, really? Really?
Yeah. You want to go liar.
When I knew,
liar.
I don't know anybody else.
Liar, pants on fire.
You were the only person I knew. You were one of the reasons why I came to Southern Virginia, because my intentions were to be in Northern Virginia. And it was just really it was a real big letdown for me. It was a real big letdown for me, especially when I have friends that are diehard. Now, I have ride or die. I do have ride or die friends, and I really thought that she was one, but no, she wasn't. She turned out not to be that way. That hurts.
It's a big eye opener, and it hurts a lot, because that little child part of you makes you want. You ever guys, you ever seen those big tall, like, you ever seen a cartoon where there's like a big tall person or a big person who's holding out the little person with their big long stretched arm, and the little person is swinging furiously to try to get to the big person and hit them, but they can't, because the big person's arm is so long that the little person just keeps swinging and swinging. Well, that's what it reminds me of. It's like the little child in us wants to, like, beat them up and go, liar, liar, pants are on fire, you're a liar, that's not true, you didn't care, you didn't love me, you weren't my friend, I hate you, like little kids would do. But the difference, right?
You want to say
but
that. But your mom was right. Your mom was right. Not everyone is that type of friend to you. Like, had it had been her situation, I mean, even though you are staying in a nice hotel was decent. I was in a nice hotel was decent, but it still would have been good because I was new to the state. I was new to the whole area. Didn't know anybody. It just would have made me feel more welcome had you had at least just invited me and my daughters to dinner and say, hey, look, y'all come over and get something to eat. I'm cooking and, just give us some type of Southern hospitality. I mean, to be someone who considered herself to be somewhat of a Southern belle, she sure didn't act like one. So, what your mom says is true. Maybe our friendship was just for a season.
Maybe, but see, that's the thing. Well, but see, that's the thing is that maybe then something like that is an eye-opener for all of us. It helps us to say, okay, now I can set my boundary and say, if I know that this is the type of friend this person is, I can either choose to accept it and say I'm okay with that, and I will know from this point forward that this is how my friend might act if I really need them. I can't necessarily count on them to be there for me, and so I don't necessarily get hurt. I don't have to call them, or I don't have to expect, or I don't have to get hurt if they don't do what I would have liked for them to do to show me that they care. But then on the flip side, I can also choose to say, nope, that's not the kind of friends I want to have in my life. I want to have the kind of friends who are going to be there for me the way I'm there for them. And then you make a decision about whether or not you want to keep the friendship going or not. But to see, then you have taken power and control back in your life over your own life because you have stepped into your power and said, I'm the one that gets to choose. It's not like somebody did something to me and that made it end the friendship. See, back in my 20s when this happened with my friend, it felt like stuff happened and like we didn't have a choice to end our friendship. But really what was the deal was that stuff had to happen in order for both of us to make the choice that the friendship was over. I'm pretty sure that as time would have went on, if those things hadn't have happened that made that other stuff come to light, we would have probably just drifted away and made our choice, both of us, to not hang out as much or talk as much or be as close or be as friendly as we had been, just because we would have realized that our friendship was taking different paths. But there's something about when you feel like you lose that choice that makes a difference. And so at least with that understanding and that perspective shift, you can make the choice yourself. And so now I'm much more empowered with the people that I hang around with. If I see that things are kind of going down a wonky path, I'm like, I like the person and they're cool and all, but I don't necessarily want to hang around them, or I'm not necessarily going to call them if I need something, because why would I set myself up to be disappointed and hurt that way?
Right. Yeah. So I think that's when you have certain friends, when you put your friends into categories. You shouldn't have to put your friend in a category because your friend should be an all-around friend. But in this day and age, it seems that you have to put them in. Okay, this one I can call when I know I need something. This one I can call. I know they will visit me in the hospital if I'm sick. This one I can call to party with. This one I can call to pray with. And it shouldn't be that way because we should all be well-rounded and be able to accept each other for who we are and what we are. That is a true friend. A true friend will accept you for who you are and what you are. And even if you change, as long as you don't change that friendship level, that's okay. Accept the change. Don't treat them differently because they no longer want to get high anymore, because they don't want to get drunk anymore, because they don't want to drive down a one-way street anymore. Don't do that. Accept their change. Right. Maybe you guys can grow together. But on that note,
but look at how Okay. Let me say really quick, though, before we take a break. But look at how that does change. That's the sad thing is that, oh, man, we used to party all the time. That was the girl that I could always call up to go out with on a Friday night, and we could go hang out all weekend and just partay.